All right, hello and welcome to part two of It's Just Me, hosted by Brent Fox. I wanted to continue the Steelers breakdown outside, of course, it being Friday the 13th and things going on. Wouldn't allow me to be great, so we are back in the office. Okay, so addressing the elephant in the room, of course, Aaron Rodgers, who signed, I believe, last Friday. Um, Showed up to minicamp on mandatory minicamp on Tuesday, of course. Fielded questions from the press. Basically, referred to himself as when asked what kind of leader would he be, he stated that he would be a servant leader. Now, basically, what that means to me is that he is going to give the impression that he is just going to adhere to the Pittsburgh Steelers and then basically lead by example. Of course, taking care of details, showing up to meetings on time, getting with guys on concepts and combinations, things of that nature. He also mentioned that he would probably be hosting something in Malibu for the eligibles, which include running backs and receivers. So, um, we'll see what happens with that. Um, but I found it very interesting that he, of course, referred to himself as a servant leader. We will see how long that lasts. Um, Multiple people are saying that he could have turned the corner personality wise, things of that nature. And I hate to use this as an example because I truly believe that this person has actually evolved from what that incident was. But I'm just going to go ahead and remind y'all that, hey, even at one point, Chris Brown was nice to Rihanna. Okay? Do with that information what you will. Now, what I will say about Mr. Brown is that, on at least on the surface, it looks like he has learned a very invaluable lesson from that situation. And even though he is not the greatest communicator with women, um, at least I think the domestic violence part um, has pretty much subsided. Now, I know Karuchi Tran may have something to say about that. I'm not for sure, but at least on the surface, what it seems like is that uh, he's not doing that type of stuff again. So, shouts out to Chris Brown for getting better, at least on the surface. Now, what I will also probably address is this: time is going to tell the truth. Okay, so yes, it is all rose-colored glasses, and things are looking good right now, and he's got the right attitude right now, and all of that. Okay, but the reason that I am having to boycott this season, unless one of the Pittsburgh Steelers themselves talks me out of it, um, is that this man is destructive to football teams with an S. His tenure, when his tenure ended in Green Bay, it was not a harmonious one. When he went to the New York Jets, need I say more? And now he's coming here. Again, we shall see what type of Aaron Rodgers we actually get, but I am, I'll hope for the best, but I'll prepare for the worst. And we shall see how this actually unfolds. I want to be optimistic about the season, but we'll see. We'll see. And if I am actually wrong about Aaron Rodgers, I am man enough to actually apologize for that. I really am. But until I see change behavior from the start of the season to the end of the season, and he's not he's not saying or doing anything divisive, then yeah, I don't mind apologizing for misjudging him. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't have no problem doing that. Um, Now, what I will also say in regards to that is, um, from from a statistical standpoint or on paper, he should make the offense that much better. Is his skill set now at 41/42 once the season gets rolling? Will that actually wind up being better than Justin Fields and Russell Wilson? Yeah, we'll see. I mean, as far as the arm talent, definitely yes. And then also, of course, the mindset and his mental preparedness for games, things of that nature. Absolutely yes. But we'll see how that translates to his play. I think that's the most important thing. Um, and then we've got exciting reports about, of course, tight ends. Darnell Washington seems to have done pretty well for himself in the mandatory minicamps. Shouts out to Will Howard. Will Howard did struggle mightily at first, and bit by bit he actually got better and better. So much so that in a 2-minute drill that he was actually in charge of, he was able to hit Darnell Washington for a touchdown. So, shouts out to the progress of Will Howard. I can't wait to see how he actually progresses in training camp. Now, setting realistic expectations for Will Howard. Will Howard, again, is not ready to play right away. I think that if this goes the way that it's supposed to, Aaron Rodgers will be a great example on how to prepare for games. Mental fortitude as far as checking for things at the line of scrimmage, being able to decipher, what type of coverages are actually going to go on, things of that nature. So I think that with that, Will Howard's progress should be promising. Speaking of people's progress, a gentleman that I am particularly worried about, Mr. Broderick Jones, who has actually made the switch from right tackle, where he struggled mightily, to left tackle, to where he scares the bejesus out of me, to be quite honest. If you struggle on the right side and you have help from the tight end, what do you think is going to happen when you go over to the left side and you have no help at all against probably the other team's best pass rusher? He and Dan Moore were a dubious duo that has given up nearly the most sacks in the NFL. I don't know whether or not someone actually beat them out as a duo, but yeah, they were pretty bad. Now some of that can actually be equated to Russell Wilson holding on to the ball too long, and Justin Fields, of course, doing the same, and attempting to just kind of make something out of nothing. But at the same time, you still don't want to be the two guys that gave up the most sacks in the season. Sorry, y'all. Once again, real life person, real life situation. So, back to Mr. Broderick Jones. So yes, he and of course, oh Lord, I done lost track of Dan Moore. He and Dan Moore were the dubious duo, of course, that gave up. I think they did give up the most sacks in the NFL. So again, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields maybe holding on to the ball too long could factor into that, but still, you do not want to be one of the two guys that actually gave up the most sacks in the entire NFL. That is embarrassing. Shouts out to Dan Moore though, because he got paid from Tennessee, so it worked out for him. With Broderick, we shall see. I keep hearing about his raw natural talents and abilities, but it has yet to actually translate onto the field. Now, what I will say to his credit is that he has actually slimmed down. His plan is to slim down and then gain weight as the season progresses. to gain strength. But for right now, he's trying to be quicker and have more fluidity. So at least there is actually a plan for improvement. And shout out to Broderick Jones for trying to make sure that he does improve. I'm not gonna kick that man while he's down, but at the same time, given what he's actually shown, I can't really trust him either. So it just kind of puts me as a fan in kind of like a hard, excuse the terminology, but like a very difficult place. I'll say very difficult position. So hopefully Broderick does actually get better. If not, we do have lots and lots of draft picks for the 2026 NFL draft. So, maybe we'll find a solution there. We'll see. Now, also, the position group that actually gets me individually the most excited. Running back. All right. High and tight. Okay. So, Caleb Johnson has actually been working on his pass protection, and it's been very, very promising since the start of mandatory minicamp and also OTAs that he was a part of prior. So he's starting to develop, go over the details, get a little bit better and better with that. And then hopefully by the beginning of the regular season, he'll at least be decent. Real progress is just, it's small and bits at a time. It's not some big major turnaround like in a movie or something like that. That's not how real life works. It's putting the little pieces together to actually build something big. Now, I need to probably apply that in my personal life, but that's a whole different story. But what I will say is that I am, from what I'm hearing from these reports, I am immensely optimistic about Caleb want to try to get better at pass protection. Says a lot about his character and also his willingness to try to improve to help his team win football games. I think that's vital. Also, it's been reported that he also has pretty good hands as far as catching the ball out of the backfield, and that of course we drafted him for his running ability. So I can't wait to see what happens when we actually put pads on and possibly do maybe like a joint practice or the first preseason game. I would love to see what he actually does in that type of environment. Jaylen Warren is another guy that I'm actually very excited for. He has an opportunity to become the undisputed starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers at running back. I think that Jaylen, if he does not get hurt, I think that he could be potentially 1,000-yard rusher. I also believe that because of his skill set, being able to catch the ball out of the backfield, and most importantly, his great ability to pass block, I think that that is going to put him over the top, and that he'll probably have a very productive season to boot as a result. I do love his explosiveness as well. I think that if we are able to give Jaylen Warren looks with the outside zone plays that Arthur Smith likes to run, I think that with his explosiveness, his ability to break tackles, and his vision, I think that he'll probably do well. Now, what I will say is that for whatever reason, and he's not really shown this as a flaw or a weakness, I would like to see a little bit more development as far as Jaylen Warren using his vision to set up blocks. Okay, so for example, just follow with me. So for example, if we're running an outside zone play to the right, and I'm going to switch my hands here. When you're running a ball, you always want to make sure that you have your pressure points You got your hands, you have the pit of the elbow here, and then you have your forearm, and then of course it's pressed up high and tight against your body. You always want to have the ball in the hand where the closest sideline is. So if I'm running to the right, I want to make sure that I have the ball in my right hand close to the sidelines, just in case, if God forbid I fumble this ball, which I'm not gonna do, and it comes out, then it'll come out more likely on the sidelines rather than the middle of the field, where more people have access to it. So, little fundamental tip 101. So basically, if I'm running an outside zone to the right, the linebackers are actually flowing. I have a tackle. Let's just say it's Troy Fahatanu, because he is the tackle. He's flowing out to the second level to get that linebacker. That linebacker is flowing, and I'm running the ball. Basically, what I want to do is I want to get right in line with Troy Fahatanu and make sure that Troy is able to pick him off before the linebacker is able to get to me. So if Troy is flowing outside, I'm right in step with him, and then he's able to just block off that linebacker, and then I can just move up and explode. That is how you read. That is how you set up blocks and gain big chunks of yardage. Man, when it comes to running the football, I am extremely passionate about it, man. I could talk all day about this, but I'll have to slow myself down. So, okay, so basically, yes, I just want to make sure that Jaylen Warren is able to be equipped with the tools that he needs in order to be successful. And of course, I look for him, of course, again, to have over 1,000 yards rushing. Now, it probably won't be by very much, because he's going to have to split time with Caleb Johnson and also Kenneth Gainwell, possibly on third downs. But I really do see Jaylen Warren having a very successful season, barring any type of major injury or anything like that. So very excited about that particular portion of it. Tight ends, of course, we got Pat Freiermuth. I look to see more production from him, especially because, of course, Aaron Rodgers is actually signed on as the quarterback. And, he has very good field vision. Obviously I have to give him that from a football standpoint. So I'm thinking that he's probably going to be able to find Freiermuth on critical downs and then be able to just kind of convert. So I look forward to hearing, because of course I'm not going to be able to see it. I look forward to hearing how successful that may be. Darnell Washington is someone that also excites me. I think that physically he has all the tools and gifts to become a very productive tight end. Aaron Rodgers has compared him to, I think it was Mercedes Lewis, the longtime tight end that played for the Jaguars and the Packers and a few other teams, I believe. But yes, he was immensely productive, especially in Jacksonville and Green Bay. So look forward to seeing how Darnell Washington continues to develop. Very excited about that. And then also the receivers kind of worry me, to be quite honest. Okay. Yes, we have DK Metcalf. Yes, he is an explosive playmaker. And yes, he's clearly wide receiver one. I think, though, that we definitely need a wide receiver two, particularly a route runner. Lots and lots of people are saying that, Keenan Allen should be a target for us. I, on the other hand, would want to probably get Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper is a lot more reliable as far as a health standpoint, and that he also being a route runner could help as far as if DK Metcalf is double covered, or God forbid DK Metcalf is injured. someone would need to be able to step up and assume a role to try to make sure that the receiving portion for the Pittsburgh Steelers kind of stays intact for the most part. So I think that it's actually imperative that we get someone like Amari Cooper. Okay, I don't think that you can count on Keenan Allen because there's not a season that I can think of that the man hasn't been hurt, honestly. So, that being said, Amari Cooper has a better history as far as injury goes. He had wrist surgery. Um, I haven't heard of him failing any physicals or anything else like that, but we'll see. Um, but nonetheless, yes, please, 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 Pittsburgh Steelers, if you are listening, sign Amari Cooper. All right. Now, enough of the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, of course, Derek Harmon is continuing to develop. And then Coach Lance Dunbar basically said that, hey, or Coach Dunbar, I'm sorry, not Lance Dunbar. Lance Dunbar was a running back for the Cowboys. I'm sorry. Coach Dunbar, our defensive line coach, was pretty much saying that Harmon could actually wind up being a starter. I don't know about that, but there's an immense deal of confidence with Derek Harmon, and it's very early on in the process. So we'll kind of see how that develops, but I'm excited to hear about that, and I can't wait to hear more about the progression of Derek Harmon on the defensive line. I think that with the free agents that we actually picked up, and then Cam Hayward actually being, training and then ready for this particular season, barring any type of injury, I think that him, Keanu Benton, and Derek Harmon should be able to wreak havoc on these other offenses, especially in the run. Having said that, we got the middle linebacking core made up of Patrick Queen. You then have Peyton Wilson and a returning Cole Holcomb. They said Cole Holcomb actually looks pretty good, which is promising. And between those three, I think that there probably could be package rotation, things of that nature to kind of wreak havoc on other offenses that like to run the ball as well. And also wreak havoc on offenses that actually pass the ball as well, because of their closing speed and being able to use their athleticism to break up plays and things of that nature. So that middle linebacking group is a very strong group this season, and I look forward to hearing what type of impact they'll have. Also, of course, with your edge rushers, TJ's out because of contract negotiations. I think that'll get resolved. Before training camp. If not, I think that it will be resolved before the end of training camp, definitely. So I'm thinking that they'll get that together. And then with Nick Herbig, who is waiting on the wings, this gives him an opportunity to just try to sharpen his knife and get better. And then, of course, you have the reliable Alex Highsmith on the other side of TJ Watt. And I think that he'll probably have a pretty solid season, barring any injury. As a matter of fact, I think that he'll probably have another double-digit sack season. And I honestly think that he'll do well. Jack Sawyer is a guy that we drafted out of Ohio State that I think hopefully he'll be promising. There are good reports about everybody so far, of course, in minicamp, things of that nature. But I really look forward to seeing what Jack Sawyer is going to do. So shouts out to him as well. Now, as far as the secondary goes, with Jair Alexander actually being cut from the Packers, it brings about a lot of speculation. We already have Joey Porter Jr. and then, of course, Slay on the outside corners. If we hadn't signed Slade to $10 million for a year, then yeah, we could probably look into Jair Alexander or oh man, Jalen Ramsey, who was just released by the Dolphins as well. But I don't think that those are real possibilities, especially this season. Because of the contract with Slay, and I think that barring any injury, we'll roll with what we got. I do think that the nickel corner is probably somewhat of an open race. I think that Beanie Bishop will have of course, an advantage, but I think that position is still going to be pretty wide open. So I think between him, Eccles, and then the gentleman that we actually drafted in the 7th round, his name is escaping me right now. I think that that could be an interesting 3-man race, and we'll have to see how that develops as well, or I'll have to hear about how it develops as well. But yeah, I'm really excited to hear about this particular upcoming season, and hopefully I am actually wrong about this team imploding in the middle of the season because we signed a certain quarterback who causes controversy. So, again, hopefully I am dead wrong about this, and that we actually wind up having an 11-win season or something of that nature. So, we'll see. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this double edition of It's Just Me, of course, hosted by Brent Fox. Please check out my brother's Coach 67 Sports TV, who has a plethora of content regarding the Southern University. He is the best Southern University content creator on the face of the planet. We also have my other brother, Jared O11 Green. He has very entertaining and thought-provoking shows, one of which is called A Black Man's Perspective. That comes on Saturdays, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube. He also has a show called The Southern Baller Show, which is a wonderful experience for anyone involved. That includes myself. That goes on Sundays, 3:30 p.m. I think, though, because it's going to be Father's Day on Sunday, we may not do a show, but we'll see. But usually the show comes on Sundays, 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sundays. And then, please, as far as Steelers content is concerned, please check out the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and one Chris Carter, okay? Chris Carter has actually been holding it down for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette for quite some time. I know since the Killer B era, or towards the end of the Killer B era, he has been really doing his thing. Shouts out to you, brother. Hopefully, hopefully with your promotion and everything else, you just get to go higher and higher, man. I love to see it. I really do. All right. So again, this has been It's Just Me, hosted by Brent Fox. I will see you guys next time.